cases, and we are ready to share our experience. Uh, on the website of Congress Exhibition Bureau, our stream is being online as well as on Roscongress website. So please ask questions, and we will try to do our best to transfer your questions to the speakers. And I would like to give the floor to Evgeny Pankevich, head of the Tourist Development Committee of St. Petersburg. Mr. Pankevich, can you hear us?
Да, Наталья, спасибо. Коллеги,
Are
доброе
you
утро. Хорошая
connected?
связь. Нас
Yes,
слышно?
I am here. Good morning. Could you please tell what will be the continuation of the measures, anti-crisis measures that are dedicated to industry rejuvenation? St. Petersburg is a happy city. We receive twice as much tourists as we have inhabitants. What will be the
Смотрите, в первую
ratio
очередь
between
хочу всех
internal and
поприветствовать.
external
Спасибо
tourism in the
большое,
city?
что откликнулись на инициативу наших коллег из Конгрессно-выставочного бюро и подключились сегодня
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very
обсуждать
much for
проблематику. Да,
supporting the
понятно, что
initiative
мы
of
сегодня говорим о
Congress and
ключевой
Event
проблеме, о развитии
Convention Bureau.
MICE-индустрии, конгрессно-выставочной сфере. Но я бы добавил бы своих коллег,
I
сказав о
will
том, что мы сегодня в целом
add
должны рассматривать
something.
туризм, поскольку сегодня
We
уже
need
можно
to
сделать большой глобальный
take a
вывод,
look at the
что туризм
entire tourism
была
industry.
одной из главных отраслей экономик территорий, городов, поскольку включал в себя огромное количество
Tourism was
смежных
very important
направлений.
for
Это и
cities
хорика, это и
and
МАЙС, это
regions
и транспортные
because
организованные
tourism conditioned
перевозки, это и
HoReCa,
туркомпании,
MICE,
ательеры и многие
transportation,
другие
and
участники рынка.
other
Так вот, наша
activities,
задача
hotels
первоначальная,
and
когда мы формировали
other
первый
market
пакет,
players. When
была
we
сформировать весь пул
created the
да,
first package,
туризма,
our goal
весь
was
пул
to
пострадавших,
assemble
чтобы
this
понять, как, куда
pool
идти. Первый
of
пакет сформирован, он в Санкт-Петербурге в основном включал проработку налогов, арендных отношений. Сейчас мы
completed,
занимаемся вторым
and it was
пакетом. У нас
dedicated more to
вечером
the
как раз
taxes
с нашими
and
смежными
lease
коллегами из экономического
agreements.
блока
This
большая
tonight we
сессия,
will
где
have
мы
a
будем
big
прорабатывать
discussion
льготные
with
уже
our colleagues
пакеты
from
для
economic
арендаторов и все, что
block,
связано с коммунальными
and
услугами и
we will
прочими. То есть мы
work on
углубляемся уже в
the
нишевую историю, пытаемся на
more
всех
niche
уровнях, да,
story.
этот вопрос
We
отловить
will
и помочь как
try
можно
to
больше,
pick up
большой
this question
категории
on
коллег,
every
задействованных
level in
сегодня в
order to
сфере
help
туризма.
as much
Мы разделяем также боль
tourist players
всех
as
наших коллег, страдают отдельно по секторам и
possible.
ательеры, и
We
турагенты, и
share
туроператоры.
the
Мы
pain
за
of
последние 2 месяца
our
как раз
colleagues. We
нишево
know that they are
погружаемся
suffering
в проблематику
industry-wise, restaurants and hotels and so on and so forth.
каждого
So we go
сегмента и
deep
отдельно
into issues
пытаемся со
faced
всеми
by
коллегами уже
different
эффективно
segments, and
продумать весь
separately
тот
with the
блок, да, тот
colleagues
пакет
we
мер,
try to
который на сегодня мог бы быть
crystallize
принят
these
в рамках федерального
measures
взаимодействия, но
package
также,
that
чтобы он в нашем
can
регионе
be
конкретно
approved
имел
both
практическое
on the
применение.
regional
Но мы
and
сегодня
federal
говорим не
level to
только о тех
make it,
мерах,
first
которые
and foremost,
нужно
practically oriented.
принимать для
We
поддержки
are
отрасли.
talking
Мы
not only
сегодня
about measures that
говорим о
should
том,
be
что нам
taken in order to
делать дальше.
support
Да?
the
Мы
industry. We're
сегодня
talking
должны
as
использовать
well about what should be done further on. We lost the sound. I'm sorry. We don't have the sound.
на каких новых составляющих он должен базироваться,
What new components should be put
как должны
into
себя
the foundation of it.
чувствовать и участвовать в этом процессе игроки рынка, что такое новый турпакет, что такое
What is a new tour package?
организованные группы и туры, да, в регионы,
What
как
should we
будут вести себя
understand
авиаперевозчики, где
under
та
organized
цена и как
tourist
вообще
groups?
туркомпания в новых реалиях может
And
себя чувствовать, возможно
what
ли
should be done by
создать
tourist companies and the air
пул
companies under
туроператоров,
these
которые
new conditions?
будут
Are we
предлагать
able to
пакетные
create a
предложения,
pool
которые будут,
of
скажем, дешевле для
operators
частного
with
клиента, который хочет
package
обратиться в
offers that
агрегаторы
will
или в
be
букинг и так далее. Вот эти те вопросы
cheaper
по
for
туроператорской
individuals
деятельности,
as
которые
compared
мы
to
сегодня должны найти
booking.com or
ответы.
other aggregators?
По
These are the
сегменту
questions
МАЙС у
we need
нас
to
также
solve.
такая же задача.
MICE
Задача понять, понять, как
segment
в новом формате,
faces
да,
the same
проводить
issues.
конгрессные
Our goal
мероприятия.
is to
Общая
understand what will be the
составляющая,
new
общая
format of
проблематика
Congress
заключается в
events.
глобальном
The main
вопросе
issue
предоставления услуг
here is
безопасности.
quite
Вообще
global.
безопасность —
How
это
do we
теперь
understand safety?
не
How do
только
we
главная задача
guarantee
нас всех, это
safety and
новый маркетинговый тренд.
security?
И
Safety
тот
is not
игрок
only
рынка,
our
будь то это МАЙС, будь то
primary
это туроператоры,
goal,
ательеры
but
и другие
it's
участники,
new
кто
competitive
будет правильно
advantage.
реагировать, кто сможет
Those who will
разработать
react
где-то старые,
in the
где-то
right
придумать
way,
новые стандарты безопасности и
those who
правильно
will
это
be able
маркетинговым
to
образом
either
оформить, того
modify the old
в
safety
новых
standards
реалиях
or come up with
ждет
new
успех.
uh,
Следующий аспект,
safety
который нужно
standards, they
сегодня
will be
затрагивать, о
successful
котором
in the
сегодня, наверное,
new
коллеги будут
reality.
говорить, и он
This
очень важен, и
question
мы
that should
давно
be
это
mentioned,
обсуждаем
that
с
will be
коллегами
discussed
из
for sure.
ЮВТО, и рады
Today we've
вас
been
тоже всех
discussing
приветствовать.
a lot with
Это вопрос диджитализации, о
UNWTO
чем
colleagues.
сегодняшний
Welcome, by the way.
формат общения
This
нам
question is related to
говорит.
digitalization. We are on the
Насколько
new
новые
digital format.
диджитал-продукты нам нужны.
Whether
Понятно,
new
что рынок
digital
на
products
сегодняшний
are required
день, я бы сказал,
now
даже
by
завален
the
огромным
market.
количеством
The
диджитал-продуктов. То есть
market
нам нужно будет
is
провести выжимку,
flooded
выборку, понять,
with
как
different
в
digital
новой
solutions. So we
ситуации
need to screen them and
модернизировать старые
understand
предложения,
what should be done to
как
modernize
создать
old
новый продукт.
offers.
Одно понятно, что, скорее
How
всего,
we can we
после
create new
окончания данного
products?
процесса мы с вами
One is quite
будем
certain. At
работать
the
в
end of this
тренде
process,
туризм
we
по
will be
подписке.
working within the
Поэтому к
trend
этому все
that I
идет,
call
и наличие социальных
tourism
платформ,
by
социальных медиа,
subscription.
YouTube
The presence
и
of
прочих
social
сервисов как
platforms,
никогда
social
будет
media,
актуально.
YouTube,
И
and so on and so on,
выбор
will
туризма будет
gain
идти в эту
in
сторону.
their
Поэтому это тоже очень
importance.
главная
I
задача.
think
Поскольку мы
tourism is
говорим
drifting
о
towards
вопросах безопасности, то
that.
мы понимаем, что
Since
в
we're
новых
talking
реалиях
about
активно
safety
будет
and security
обсуждаться интеграция
in the new world, a
страховых
lot of
пакетов,
discussion
интеграция
will be dedicated
так
to
называемых
insurance
вопросов вакцинации и
packages
прочих вещей, да,
integration.
связанных с медицинской частью. Медицинская часть как никогда будет играть большую роль
Medical
уже в
part
новом
will
формате.
play a
Поэтому нам к
huge
этому тоже
role
нужно
in the
быть
new
готовым, и
format.
нужно смотреть, как
We
эти
should be
части
ready
мы все будем интегрировать
for
в
that.
наши проекты.
And we need to
И,
understand how we
наконец,
will
тот
integrate
вопрос,
all these
который
parts
тоже
in
остро
our
встанет, и
projects.
который, ну, здесь
And last
больше
but not
вопрос,
least,
наверное, не
the
участникам
question
рынка
that
МАЙС,
will be
да,
very
но
acute.
участникам нашим
It's
регионам и
not
те, кто занимаются созданием большого глобального
connected
турпродукта на
directly
территориях,
to
это вопрос
mice
медицинского
market
туризма. Вот
players.
тематика, которую Москва и
And
Петербург
I'm
сегодня
talking
активно
about
развивают,
medical tourism.
и
Moscow and
Петербург был
Petersburg
пионером в этом движении,
are
становится как
developing
никогда
right now.
актуально,
St.
и
Petersburg
продукты
pioneered
медицинского
this
туризма
trend.
будут иметь большой
Products of
спрос, не говоря
medical
уже о
tourism will
том,
be in
что
high
эта ниша,
demand.
скорее всего, займет
This niche
свою историю в конгрессно-выставочном направлении. И
will take
майс-форматы,
its spot
майс-продукты,
in
связанные с
mice
медицинским
formats,
туризмом,
mice
в первую
industry,
очередь будут также
and they will have
популярны.
their own
Понятно,
segment
что
related
когда
to
все
medical tourism.
закончится,
It's
наше первое
clear that
направление,
once
которое
it's
мы все
over, our
будем использовать,
first
это уже ясно сегодня, и сегодня, наверное, это тоже
priority, it's
нужно обсудить,
clear
это
right
внутренний
now, and
туризм.
we'll
То,
discuss,
с чего я
is
начал. Я начал с
internal
сегментов и
tourism. I
компонентов,
started
говоря о
with
том, как это
that. I was
делать.
talking
Все
about
это
segments
приводит к
and
тому, что
components.
внутренний туризм начнет
Everything brings us to the idea
быстрее
that
восстанавливаться,
internal
быстрее расти,
tourism
нам
will
тоже нужно
be
будет к этому всем
rejuvenating
быть
faster and
готовым.
will
Это
growing
также
faster,
распространяется
will be growing
и
faster.
на
We need
МАЙС
to get ready
мероприятия.
ourselves for that,
Мы призываем
so we
всех к тому,
can
чтобы
think of
развивать
mice industry
быстрее, как никогда, поскольку это
that
новый
way.
тренд, новая ситуация диджитал
Our
продуктов, чтобы
message
в ногу со
is to
временем
develop as
идти
quick as
и смотреть,
possible
как мы
digital
будем модернизировать все,
products to
что,
keep
все, что у
with the
нас
pace of
сегодня
time.
есть под рукой.
And you
Но, как я уже
to see
сказал,
how
я
can
начал
we
с
modernize everything we
внутренней
have
поддержки, да, с тех
in
мер,
our
которые
arms.
мы
I started
предоставляем.
with
Сейчас
the
это задача
internal
номер один.
support
Но
measures. This is our number one
развитие также никто
priority.
не отменяет,
But
поскольку все мы будем успешны, если
development is
будем
still on
вот в
the
этот
agenda.
непростой период
We
уметь
will be
проявлять
successful
гибкую
if we
стратегию, уметь
know how
и
to be
делать
flexible
трансформацию, да, в своих
today.
продуктах, в своих компаниях, в своих
How can we
учреждениях. Это самое
transform
главное.
our
К этому мы
products,
всех
companies,
призываем.
and institutions? This is our main
Спасибо
message
огромное.
today.
Рады всех
Thank you
приветствовать.
very
Хорошей,
much.
продуктивной
Very glad
дискуссии.
to
Давайте
see
держаться
you all. I wish you
вместе.
fruitful
Всем
discussion. Let's
здоровья,
stick together.
удачи
Stay
и
healthy.
скорейшего
Good
нам всем
luck.
выздоровления нашей отрасли, чтобы мы
And I
опять
hope
также
that our
заработали быстро все
industry
вместе,
will
шли
be
вперед.
revitalized as
Спасибо,
quick as possible.
коллеги.
Thank you very much. Digitalization, flexibility of new product creation. I'm trying to sum up your discussion. This is what we do
Наталья.
now, because crisis is the time of opportunities. Director General of Congress Exhibition Bureau, Mr. Andrei Matsarin. We are far enough from each other. This is why I can ask you a question. St. Petersburg Traditional is number one event destination within Russia. And you probably felt this crisis in the industry, where we are, what measures are being taken. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Thank you, Natalia, for your question. First and foremost, I would like to welcome all the participants of today's discussion, Russian colleagues, international colleagues, colleagues from Ministry of Tourism, from Roscongress, from UNWTO. Thank you for all your support and thank you for your presence. For us, it's a challenge, but this challenge gives us a possibility not only to evaluate the issues that we have, but also to redesign a little bit the communication strategy that we had face to face with the industry players. We can now pilot new technologies that exist already on the market, and today's reality give us a clear understanding that we need to seize these opportunities. Our main goal under current circumstances is to preserve communication that has been developed during many years. This is now. We start this online agenda, and I hope that we will have more and more participants. Today's event is sort of iconic for us because our today's discussion will fuel our suggestion that we will include in support measures package that will be presented to the governor of the city. Take, if we take a look at the statistics for St. Petersburg in 2019, we had a growth of 10% of convention, mice, and congress activities. For sure, we will lose in this segment in 2020, but we will do our best, and we do our best right now in order to maintain existing communication. To do so, the instruments that we have launched last year, including ambassadors program, will stay operational in order to enhance communication with our international partners and agencies in order to prepare new events, upcoming events. We not only hope, we believe that this pandemic situation will get less and less acute. Between 2018 and 2019, we presented more than 50 inquiries for international events and we won 36 of them. 2020, we are receiving confirmations for the events later this year and at the beginning of 2021. We are ready to postpone events until 2021. And we work with authorities to preserve budget, supporting budget that has been granted for this year to transfer the funds to 2021. We see as well opportunities not only in external events but also internal events. St. Petersburg Travel Hub was something that we launched during 23rd General Assembly of UNWTO, and we reached an agreement with IPCIS. We will have a travel hub with CIS countries. We received support both on regional and federal levels. We prepare this event on full tilt because we consider that our fellow countries from CIS, we have a very important strategic partnership that allow us to develop business tourism. And that can be developed into potential investment projects. It is as well very important for us to develop new dimensions: medical tourism, IT, technologies, science, and education. There will be main pillars to support further activities, both online and later offline. We will put our emphasis for the next step to be interconnected with our 4 main pillars. Some think, some say that convention activity will be completely online. My answer is loud and clear. No, it will not be possible. Thinking of St. Petersburg, we have a unique city history-wise and culture-wise. It's not a secret that many business activities that take place in different cities, including St. Petersburg, have their business agenda, but also have their cultural program, and participants are very keen to make themselves acquainted with the history and the culture of the city. Brief, colleagues, today's session is a completely new experience. For us, it's an opportunity to feel ourselves a part of real-time activities, and I'm sure that we have colleagues who dreamt of becoming a star of online. Our perception is that we see an opportunity here. Online format will be competing with offline formats, and new technologies are developing, and maybe in the nearest future, all business activities will be conducted on a plane and a train while moving somewhere, and that will be perceived just as something being very natural with no suit and tie. And we believe in that. Thank you very much, Andrew. I love this philosophy that is related to the future. For sure, the situation will see its end. And after that, we need to be competitive. We'll need to stay competitive on the international level. And we'll be discussing this during our 3 hours, a bit less, actually. Uh, One of the main goal for us is to have your ideas. 64% of our industry are SMEs. So until 1300 hours tomorrow, April 24th, we are waiting your suggestions on the official email of Convention Bureau of St. Petersburg. Send all our suggestions. Please stay active. And we have Yelena Lysenkova, head of the Directorate of State Tourist Project and Safety from Federal Agency for Tourism. Can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you. So we are talking about the change in landscape and the tourist and event maps. We created a lot of roadmaps, and they are being reviewed very actively. I know that Rostourism took a lot of measures in order to support the industry, but where we are and what are our
Да,
plans?
планировать нельзя отменить, да, где поставить точку
Yes,
или
to plan
запятую,
not to
хочется везде поставить
cancel
многоточие, что и
or
планировать
to
хочется
cancel, not
много,
to plan.
и
How can we
учитывать
switch
какие-то ограничения,
these two
которые
verbs?
накладывают на невозможность реализации тех или иных
It's
задач, и
quite
что-то все-таки
difficult to
придется отменить
answer
или
straight away.
скорректировать, и
Something
это
will be
точно,
cancelled, some
наверное,
events will be
девиз
cancelled,
текущего
some events will be
времени.
modified.
Если говорить про планы отрасли, они, конечно, были
Talking
скорректированы
about
кардинальным
industry
образом
plans,
происходящими
they
событиями.
have
Мы
been
понимаем,
quite
что
severely
весь огромный
modified due
объем
to the current
туристского сектора в России, который связан и с деятельностью, как уже Евгений Панкевич озвучил, и Андрей уже проговорил, да, и с деятельностью транспортной составляющей, и с деятельностью гостиничных предприятий, и с деятельностью предприятий культурно-развлекательного сектора, туроператоров, конгрессно-выставочного бюро, площадок для мероприятий, производство сувенирной продукции, народно-художественных промыслов, связанные с деятельностью наших основного бизнеса, дополнительных субъектов предпринимательства в отрасли, связанных с общественным питанием, производством гастрономических изысков и продукции для наших туристов. Обеспечение жизнедеятельности предприятий и индустрии, безусловно, были приостановлены. Мы шли на полном ходу и встали до нуля. На текущий момент загрузка предприятий и индустрии сведена к нулю. За апрель и за прогнозируемый май мы, скорее всего, недополучим все те же самые доходы. Большинство предприятий ушло в отрицательную рентабельность. Есть риск увольнения сотрудников, часть персонала уже, к сожалению, к огромному было уже сокращено. Есть сложности с выплатой кредитных обязательств, сложности с выплатой обязательств по эксплуатации и коммунальным платежам у тех субъектов предпринимательской деятельности, деятельность которых связана с владением недвижимостью или недвижимым имуществом. Есть отрасли, которые вообще не были запущены, например, круизная отрасль, да, стоит как бы полностью не стартанув в сезон. И здесь с нашей стороны Федеральное агентство по туризму ведет совместно с Министерством экономического развития и другими ведомствами достаточно плотную работу по выработке мер и в соответствии с поручениями президента страны и с решениями правительства, подготовка и проработка мер поддержки и субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства, которые направлены на сохранение занятости, на удержание бизнесов, и для крупных предприятий, потому что баланс в разных сферах туристской отрасли, он немножко разный, где-то превалируют малые предприятия, где-то превалируют крупные, их обязательства печально складываются на их операционной деятельности. При этом мы понимаем, что туризм – это ключевая несырьевая отрасль нашей экономики. Экспорт туризма, который связан с въездом иностранных туристов и потреблением их услуг на услуг нашей отрасли внутри страны сведен к нулю. И в первую очередь выставочно-конгрессная деятельность, она наиболее остро это ощущает, потому что мы с огромным нетерпением ждем как бы аккуратного старта с учетом всех новых требований по безопасности туризма как такового и туриста, к открытию внутреннего туризма различных направлений. Мы понимаем, что международный туризм будет зависеть не только от развития ситуации внутри Российской Федерации, но и также от развития ситуации за рубежом в соответствующих странах. Поэтому, к сожалению, выставочно-конгрессная деятельность почувствует падение еще дальше, потому что иностранные туристы, которые приезжают и на наши мероприятия, к сожалению, не смогут их посетить до снятия таких ограничений. Мы понимаем прекрасно, что все ждут дополнительных следующих пакетов мер поддержки. Часть из них уже была принята по итогам решения президента и озвучены президентом на прошлой неделе. Поэтому часть продолжается в разработке. Мы очень надеемся, что до майских праздников большая часть решений уже будет положена на бумагу и подкреплена нормативно-правовыми актами. Многие уже обратились за поддержкой в отношении отсрочки налоговых платежей. Это касается и малых предприятий, и крупных предприятий отрасли. И, собственно, да, успешно уже этим механизмом пользуются. Безусловно, отрасль надеется на какие-то дальнейшие послабления в этом вопросе, над которыми правительство еще работает. Также озвученные меры по поддержке занятости, выплаты минимальной заработной платы, которая крайне важна для нашей отрасли. На текущий момент идется разработка нормативно-правовой документации по этому вопросу, и это будет уже решено в ближайшие ближайшие дни. И в то же время наши субъекты России много, и креативная отрасль, и участники отрасли стараются разработать новый формат работы в текущий момент, чтобы удержать интерес к туризму, чтобы удержать интерес и спрос к перенесенным мероприятиям, которые мы понимаем, что много мероприятий, которые не состоялись в начале этого года и не состоятся до середины лета, уже были перенесены либо на 2021 год. Часть из мероприятий заявлена на осень, но мы понимаем, что даже площадки не смогут в случае открытия успешного всех снятия всех текущих ограничений, площадки не смогут полностью, возможно, даже удовлетворить весь тот перенесенный спрос, потому что просто не хватит дней эффективного эксплуатационного формата для того, чтобы провести такие крупные события. Плюс, возможно, будут какие-то дополнительные ограничения по безопасности, которые будут наложены и тоже скажется на том формате выставочно-конгрессной деятельности, который будет проходить в 2020 году. И мы очень ждем такого совместной работы со всеми субъектами отрасли по формированию такого календаря, дабы он был эффективен и не кабализировал интерес индустрии, а наоборот принес упущенную выгоду с начала года и, собственно, позволил немножко восстановиться отрасли. При этом, Наташа, как вы уже озвучили, мы заинтересованы в совместной выработке новых мер по восстановлению отрасли, не только мер поддержки, и будем рады услышать все предложения, которые озвучат игроки отрасли в отношении, соответственно, всех форматов и типов предприятий, которые задействованы в деятельности туристического сектора, для того, чтобы выработать наилучшие решения, позволяющие отрасли крайне быстро набрать обороты. Это критично важно для всех субъектов гостиничной отрасли и для всех субъектов Российской Федерации, потому что мы считаем, что именно туризм может стать тем паровозом, который позволит всей экономике достаточно быстро стартовать. Мы отрасль с самым большим количеством рабочих мест, или, по крайней мере, входим в топ. Мы наша именно отрасль позволяет быть тем самым инструментом повышения занятости и, собственно, мы понимаем, что мы можем обеспечить занятость не только в крупных городах, но и в маленьких удаленных, поэтому, собственно, считаем достаточно обоснованно, что можем предложить стране много эффективных способов наращивания экономического потенциала из текущей рецессии, в которой мы находимся все. Готова ответить на вопрос.
That you communicate very closely with Rospotrебnadzor to come up with new safety and security requirements.
Студия, вы нас слышите?
Very important. 1 2 1 2. Can you hear us, Елена?
Студия не слышит, видимо.
No,
могу рассказать дабы занять эфиры и рассказать интересные вещи. Мы знаем про разные инициативы на региональных уровнях и на самом деле готовы их с огромным интересом изучать и экстраполировать на другие федеральные субъекты. Например, в Калининградской области есть проект «Бизнес живи» по поддержке субъектов предпринимательства в туристской отрасли и, собственно, поиска интересных кейсов, которые успешно могут быть мультиплицированы и поддержаны государством. Поэтому мы рады собирать копилки таких вещей и экстраполировать их на всю страну, чтобы такая взаимная выручка и поддержка ощущалась. При этом мы понимаем, что на текущий момент отрасль в целом переживает такой период креатива, наверное, и поиска креативных решений и нестандартных подходов для, собственно, выработки новых форматов туризма, новых форматов решений. При этом я поддержу Андрея, что вряд ли весь выставочно-конгрессный бизнес уйдет в онлайн, или любые форматы Zoom-конференций, человеческое общение и неформальное общение, которое мы получаем в рамках проводимых событийных мероприятий, это крайне важная часть любого выставочно-конгрессного события, и никакое онлайн-общение не заменит этого, и эту эффективность не реализует. Поэтому мы считаем, что да, часть, возможно, переговоров или бизнес-поездок все-таки перейдет в онлайн, и, возможно, в общем обороте будет реструктурирована, но часть однозначно ждет старта, пусть с новыми правилами, ограничениями, но старта выставочно-конгрессной деятельности. И осенний период в 2020 году, мы очень надеемся, будет насыщен событиями разного формата.
Events of different formats. Елена, thank you very much. We hope that we will say always plan, never cancel, and not never plan, always cancel. It is very important.
В различных странах мира. Мы также общаемся с ЮНГТО о том, чтобы была единая площадка.
Thank you very much, colleague. I have to pass the floor to our next speaker. We don't have a lot of time for everyone. Thank you very much for giving your ideas, Elena. And I give the floor to Igor Devyatka, Vice Head of Investment Committee of St. Petersburg. Can you hear us, Igor?
Да, добрый день, Наталья.
I can hear you. Hello, hello, Natalia. Hello, Mr. Devyatka. We talk about industries that require offline participation. We think of investors, because in investment, face-to-face negotiations are very important. St. Petersburg pioneered some solutions for investors in tourism.
Да, Наталья, спасибо большое. Действительно, и в плане туризма, и в плане взаимодействия с инвестором в Санкт-Петербурге есть чем похвастаться, чему поучиться. Это касается и той программы, которая была разработана по развитию туризма, и новые подходы в сфере ГЧП. И существующие госпрограммы и политики показывали и показывают свою состоятельность в части как раз и роста влияния туризма на ВРП региона, и с точки зрения качественного и количественного требования к туристической сфере как таковой. То есть это речь идет и о заполняемости туристических объектов, и уровне удовлетворенности туристов, а это, собственно говоря, в том числе и требования к той инфраструктуре, которая создается. Хочу сказать, что та динамика, которая демонстрируется отраслью, сейчас мы пока, конечно же, цифр по текущей ситуации не видим, и мы понимаем, что нас ждут некоторые разочарования в это объективные, но то, как выстраивалась политика города до данного момента, те результаты, тот объем инвестиций, который давал туризм и смежные с ним отрасли, они демонстрировали хорошую роль именно этой сферы в развитии Санкт-Петербурга и его социально-экономического положения. Хочу сказать, что за последние 2 года в рамках тех проектов, которые находились как раз на сопровождении комитета по инвестициям, только вот за последние, с конца 2018 года, то есть фактически за 2019 год, это 6 новых гостиниц с номерным фондом свыше 900 номеров. И даже в настоящий момент в комитете, в нашем управлении инвестиций, на сопровождении находится около 27 объектов гостиничной инфраструктуры.
27 hotel sites that are being constructed in order to provide investors with this support. We have a set of instruments that we are using and will be using in order to stay a confident partner for investors. We have so-called strategic project status that allow investors to receive some bonuses, to pay less taxes on land. In a nutshell, investor capex can be decreased in some projects to 80%. We see that this measure is very important for investors. Tax benefits, all that you can think of, will be implemented. As I mentioned already, we try to always be number one in the PPP. Recently, we adopted an amended procedure for concession agreements and public-private partnership agreements. Now we have a unified fund agreement with the partner. It helps, of course, to plan all lease payments because rental rate is 1.5% only from the placed value, and it will allow to better consider risks for the investors. We lost the sound, I'm sorry. And the set of all the tools allows us to receive very positive feedback from the investors. And thanks to St. Petersburg, Russia is now higher in the international doing business ranking. I would like to attract your attention on the fact that we have some new reality. This new reality is a strong kick, painful kick to the market. Colleagues mentioned that and will be mentioning about it, but I would like to say that investment processes wise, the current stage of the crisis show that investors who launched already their projects, they maintained their plans. And we have statistics gathered by our front office. We're still receiving inquiries from investors. So if we compare today's number of inquiries with this number 2 months or 1 month ago, we see the decrease, but it's not that painful. When we see the amount of inquiries to grant lands for investors, land plots for investors, the decrease is only 10%. And it's these land plots will be used for tourists and hotels. I would like to say that we continue we lost the sound, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have a very tough agenda. I will need to cut you off. Thank you very much. I heard most important things. When you are ready for the crisis, and you mentioned very important measures that are applied for investors in St. Petersburg, we still have the chance for quick rejuvenation. Thank you very much. Natalia, I would like to just very quick sum up To do a very quick sum up, investors are not about yesterday or today. It's about the future. New prominent industries that appear and will appear in St. Petersburg are important. Why St. Petersburg is attractive? We cooperate now with our business partners to modify our investment strategy of the city. New dimensions in tourist activities will come up and will guarantee high margin. Thank you very much. And I would like to ask a question to Marina Sheresheva, a PhD in economics professor from Moscow State Lomonosov University. Well, have we seen anything similar to this crisis in the past? To understand investment ROI, oh, we have some interference. Marina, can you hear us? Yes, I can hear you. Yes, we still have this little issue when we switch from the studio to the online connection with the participants, so I'm really sorry for that. It will be restored in a few seconds, just bear with me. I cannot hear you. Marina, can you hear me? What should I do? I will start. I don't hear any confirmation. I heard your question, by the way, and I would like to say that scientists that work on tourism economy always said that tourist is the first industry hit under the crisis, and one of the first industry that will be recovered and will become profitable is a tourist as well. But this is according to the pre-post crisis. This crisis is unique. We were expecting economic crisis. We've been saying that things that were happening in the US and Europe and in many other crises showed that the crisis will come up soon. But now we have a double crisis, economic crisis and COVID-19 crisis. All industries are put on hold to save people's lives. This year's crisis is absolutely unique. So we are not very sure in our forecasts because we have the whole range of forecasts starting from very pessimistic and going to very optimistic. According to all specialists, tourism is in the worst situation right now because international supply chains are broken, and during this conference we see that exhibition and congress activity that is 100% online. We see the situation when people don't hear each other. The main attraction on any congress, fair, or exhibition is to have a face-to-face conversation, is to listen to each other. I completely agree that convention activity will never go 100% online, but talking about the current situation, since I'm a scholar and expert in marketing, I would like to say that we have consumer inertia. We saw it in March when our tourists continued going abroad regardless all the alerts. And we will see the same thing when the industry will be recovering. People fears and people anxiety on safety and security will impede the fast recovery of the industry. But on the other hand, I consider that Russian tourist industry can implement something that is very important for the government and for the Ministry of Tourists to switch tourist flows from international to national. We have a lot of monuments and destinations within the country that suffer from bad infrastructure and bad transport accessibility. So it's the time to work with them. We heard about new measures of support of tourist industries, and we compared it with the Chinese experience. And it's a rare situation where I'm very confident by saying I have the feeling that our government does its best to support tourist industry. And it's quite logic. On the federal level, support measures that are really operational, they don't unfortunately take into account some industry peculiarities. We need to speak up to make the federal government understand that the first positive thing that can be guaranteed is the better tax collection. International tourists they bring money to Russia, and Russian tourists they keep money in the country when they don't travel abroad. China they fuel internal tourism right now. We interviewed several tourist officials from China. Internal tourism is the very first opportunity not only to keep Chinese tourist industry afloat, but to stimulate hotels, restaurants by giving different bonuses. And I agree with Madam Helena Devatova, who said that tourist industry could be a locomotive for economic recovery. If the tourists as an industry, tourism as an industry, not tourism per se, but tourism industry composed of different sub-industries, will receive 100 billion ruble support will ensure around 420 billion tax revenues. So this tax support in exchange of officialization will support the industry. Just a couple of words about Chinese experience. Chinese people don't really like to travel very actively, but even right now we see a very high demand on backpacks, on jogging, on tents, but they are not really the best. Marina, thank you very much for this experience. It gives us a very interesting example. How can we support internal tourism and make locals keep their tourist budgets within the country? As a follow-up, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Sergei Selivanov, head of the Exhibition Congress and Fair Department of the Russian Chamber of Trade and Commerce. Mr. Selivanov, can you hear us? 1212. Hello. Yes, I can hear you. I cannot see you though, but I can hear you. Support measures. Once again, recently in the Chamber of Commerce and Trade, a suggestion of support measures has been received from the Ministry of Commerce and Trade. Could you please comment briefly about this tremendous job that has been done by your department? And as well, do we plan or do we cancel? Yes, I really wanted to start from that. Thank you for inviting me. Uh, I'd like to start by saying that I'm sure that we are all optimists. Uh, you can see two maps behind me. So always plan, never cancel. This is my motto. We think about future destinations. Of course, we stay optimistic, but coming back to your question, I would like to say what has been done by our chamber against the backdrop of the current limitations and crisis. But we keep working in order to crystallize better support measures for business to stay afloat. And once all the limitations will be cancelled, discontinued, we hope that business will recover quick. The main goal of our chamber is to represent business interests in GR. The chamber was among the first to react to this challenge related to COVID and respected limitations that hit all economy segments, including first and foremost convention activities. The chamber came up with two full support measures packaging. I will not detail them. I will send it to the Prime Minister. In the first package, we had 34 basic measures, and in the second package, we have around 100 support measures. As for now, we finalized the third package that has become more systematic. We don't repeat previous packages measures. They are more industry specific and sometimes region specific. I will not dwell upon specific measures that we suggested for convention industry support. I know that my colleagues will elaborate about them a bit later. But the current situation solidified our activity and we act as one. We wrote very specific suggestion to the Prime Minister, to the Ministry of Trade and Industry, as well as to the governors of different regions. And my colleagues from the Convention and Fair Union of Russia will elaborate a bit more. Starting from the first days, we came up with the hotline, which is still operational. Please call, and I'm addressing to the entrepreneurs. We can provide you all the support we have on the topics such as labor relations, taxes, rents, and so on and so forth. We have a unique function in the chamber according to the law. Force majeure. I will try now to turn on my presentation. Could you please confirm that you can see my screen? Talking about force majeure, the first event that was covered by force majeure was our Global Russian Investment Forum. It has been transferred, but all the preparation have been done already. Booths installation has been started, and we started speaking about force majeure, inevitable circumstances that are faced by different contractors. And I mentioned that the law on the chambers of commerce and trade allows us to qualify this event as force majeure. And the Russian chamber is in charge of international contracts. But on the national contracts, this function is ensured by national chambers of commerce and trade. So we deliver the certificate on the force majeure, and the part to the contract is exempt from its responsibility to perform its obligations under the contract due to the force majeure. To provide primary information about what is required to certify force majeure. For all Russian contract, you have to present quite a small list of documents. You need to file a demand to your local chamber of commerce. You need to provide a copy of the document with all the addendums. You need to present the documents that creates your company, and copy of the document of the local authorities that confirm the fact of the event that should be treated as a force majeure. And within 10 days, starting from the date of force majeure, you need to alert your counterpart. Not all events are considered as force majeure. According to the law, the current court practice, entrepreneur risks cannot be considered as the force majeure. Financial and economic crisis, change in current exchange rate, and other entrepreneurship related issues cannot be considered a force majeure. But let me say what can be considered as a force majeure. What exhibition companies can do due to limitations imposed by different regions, including regional decrees such as we have in Moscow since March 5. This situation is a force majeure, and parties to the contract are exempt of their responsibilities. So the prepayment should be returned, exempt from costs that incurred already to the party. Recently, the Supreme Court published their clarifications, and I would like to quote one. The absence of funds cannot exempt a party in the responsibility, but if the absence of funds is related to limitations imposed by the government, like confinement regime, it can be seen as a force majeure reason. The final decision will, of course, be taken by the court, but take into account the Supreme Court's position. We understand that we have a new lever to work on the existing contracts with counterparts, including, by the way, rental agreements. I would like to highlight that force majeure, of course, cannot be used as a profitable thing. Natalia, thank you very much. Uh, you will be discussing digitalization, and the chamber is actively participating. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this legal briefing. I would like to include Dmitry Ilyin, coordinator of the Department of Adhered Members of UNWTO. Can you hear us? Hello, dear colleagues. We meet each other under unique situation when 40% of all Earth's population is confined. It's a unique challenge for UNWTO. What are main development activities that are being performed now by UNWTO to mitigate consequences for the industry? Hello, thank you very much for inviting me to this online conference. It is indeed the first online conference that is highly interesting for me. It's my first experience of that kind. The world is living through an unprecedented situation in healthcare, and tourism industry is one of the most touched. And UNWTO works very closely with all organizations to mitigate the consequences of this crisis. In order to respond efficiently to this crisis situation, UNWTO created a global crisis committee that includes different international organizations and states, private sector representatives. We conducted three different meetings. We see that there is a close cooperation between WHO, IATA, IMO. Private sector is represented by adhered members of WTO, International Council of Airports, International Association of Cruise Lines, International Association of Air Transport, and International Council on Travel Tourism participate as well. The meeting came up with recommendations that should allow authorities and international community to navigate through unprecedented critical situation that exists right now. To mitigate job losses, to protect SMEs, and to prepare ourselves for tourist industry recovery. Since consequences are very different in different countries, as well as legal frameworks are very different in different countries. Our recommendations is not one fits are not one fits all approach, but they are here to serve as a basis for the development of economic and political measures to mitigate the crisis and to speed up tourism recovery. This new guideline is divided in three chapters and 23 recommendations. I will brief you on their content, and as well as I will send in the chat the link to the recommendations. First, mitigate the crisis, stimulate the preserve of jobs, provide support to self-employed people and most vulnerable groups, tax revision, legislation amendments for tourism and transport to protect the confident increase in facilitation of education, the creation mechanism and strategies for that. Second point, create stimulus to fasten recovery. A change in legislation to create new jobs, marketing activization on partnerships, and third part, we lost the sound. Investment in human capital and talent development. I will send the link in the chat. Private partners participated actively in this recommendations development. All initiatives have been transferred to the committee and were used to foster recommendations. Moreover, private sector shared with us different projects and initiatives aimed at combating crisis. The Spanish Heritage City Association organized online tours around their cities, so any tourist can access their virtual website to visit heritage cities. It's a very good initiative that gives us a very good example of how different regions can act through national associations. I would like to highlight that always under the crisis, as associations are gaining in importance because it allow us to coordinate our activity. Very interesting initiative, by the way. The city of Tito created as well its website for to promote itself as a new tourist destination. The platform is accessible to professional event organizers, tourists, tour operators, and business community. Very detailed information is being provided there. Madrid as well launched its own strategy to support tourism industry to foster its position as event destination. IBM came up with a powerful computing platform facilitating researchers' activities globally. Spanish banks decrease commissions under emergency situation regime that is in Spain. And people who lost their job or who suffered, who uh, were laid off, they don't have to pay different commissions and rent. Barcelona launched their commercial campaign to explain benefits of the cities to the tourists. Uh, Private community is not staying apart. It reacts. Moscow Committee for Tourism presented plans and support measures packaging for the industry. Victor, thank you very much for your kind contribution alongside with UNWTO agenda. I I understand that Of course, we have a delay in signal and Mr. Ilin cannot hear us. Thank you very much for your examples. Thank you very much for your contribution. Working associations, regional associations, even international partnership, and St. Petersburg uh, that hosted 23rd UNWTO Assembly. Uh, Is St. Petersburg working closely to our partners with within Congress community? And you are available 24/7. Can you hear me? Yes. Right, right. We communicate 24/7 with our partners. Moreover, we saw new opportunities and we made new friends within UNWTO. We visited WTO headquarters, and before crisis, we discussed very serious development opportunities. We almost signed an agreement to organize investments in sport forum in St. Petersburg that unfortunately has been transferred to 2021. We keep track of medical tourism development together with Spanish cities. I'm absolutely sure, and I'm convinced that communication will be maintained. Seizing this opportunity, I would like to say once again, thank you very much for joining us online. We know that you have very uh, tough agendas. Since everyone is here, I know that some participants will be disconnected from us soon because they have their plans. I would like to seize this opportunity to thank all the speakers of the first part of the conference. Thank you for Moscow State University representatives and representative from the Chamber of Trade and Commerce of Russia for your suggestions. We will include them in our document that will be provided to the government. Uh, okay, let's switch from state support to industry support measures. And I would like to give the floor to Alexander Stuglev, uh, Ross Congress Foundation Director. Alexander, can you hear us? Alexander, can you hear us? We really would like to have you here. We are working on these technical issues that we are facing because cross Congress experience is very important for us. They are taking very specific actions in order to implement their motto or their vision that is called confident space or confident environment. Mr. Stuglev, can you hear us? Alexander, I think I heard you. Can you hear me? Yes, I can. Wonderful. I can see you, but I don't think that I can hear you. Okay. I would like to ask a quick question to you, if I may. I know that you answered to this question hundreds of times, but the situation is developing so rapidly that you come up with new answers almost every day. Once the crisis is over, could you please tell us what would be a package of measures under this situation, under your environment of confidence program? Online event is the best way to cope with the current situation. Same effort should be applied to attract the audience, to attract sponsors. Sometimes online events are more complicated to organize than offline. Online will stay after the crisis, but I see it as a new opportunity. Yesterday I read that Spain will stay closed for tourists until the end of 2020. There is a possibility that the countries will uh, launch their economies, but they will wait very carefully until they can open their tourist industry. It is a new challenge for us. Local tourism is one thing, but it is very limited. Of course, we will be working on developing national events and national tourists, but I don't think that we can count on even little on offline events until September 2020. Support measures are have been already discussed, but I would like to draw your attention on the fact that for the entire industry, we need to take into consideration the following factors. First, who have been paying taxes and in what amount. SMEs require support, but we tend to forget about large players. They face the same issues just as SMEs. And talking about social justice, we should not forget about large companies that have paid large sums of taxes. And I remember this old saying that to feed people, you need to learn, you need to teach them to fish and not only to give them fish. This is why we need to exchange information about the upcoming calendar. If we talk about the current situation for Rose Congress, we have lost the sound. I'm sorry. Rose Congress participates actively in the development of all support measures, including elderly people. We work all over Russia. Moreover, our subsidiaries work on gathering funds to provide help to people in precarious situations. We have our hotline where we gather suggestions on how to support physicians and medical personnel in their everyday life as well as professional one. And we pay for all that. We hope that the federal government will help us marketing wise and money wise. Maybe I will sound pessimistic. We need to help people, that's for sure. But we also need to give an opportunity to companies to proceed to laid offs of people that are not needed in the current situation in those companies, and at the same time allowing uh, those unemployers to find new jobs very quickly. I understand that it's an unsocial position, but this is all about specific help to specific people. And the government forces many large companies and medium companies to navigate at the age of the insolvency. And the company that went bankrupt is not able to recover after the crisis. We need to provide support to air companies, uh, convention industry, hotels. Otherwise, we will lose infrastructure required for events. Human capital above all. That's an old saying as well. And within the recommendations that have been transferred from our behalf, I I don't know whether you can hear me or not, but I will sum up now. Thank you. Thank you very much, Alexander Stuglev. Unfortunately, due to connection issues, we have not a bilateral but unilateral communication. It's very important for the industry to stay rationally optimistic, thinking about margins for the players is of primary importance. Yes, we are in St. Petersburg. Expo Forum is an important player. I would like to give the floor to Elena Uvlieva, uh, Executive Director of Russian Union of Fairs and Exhibition. And she is also the marketing director of Expo Forum. I know that you can hear me, but you cannot see me. Unfortunately, we have lost the sound as well. Major question. As a PR director of Expo Forum, what do you do to change the plans of Expo Forum to reflect the current situation? Do we plan or do we cancel? What is your position? To plan, of course, not to cancel. This is our position. We have lost the sound, unfortunately. Expo Forum is a strategically important infrastructure site to St. Petersburg. So our industry creates 7 different jobs in related industry. We do our best to transfer some of our events online. We support connection with our clients. But I would like to say as well that I don't know whether you can see my presentation on or not. I would like to say to show our business diversification project. We work from home. We think of the future and we change our present. Yes, indeed. Lenexpa venue will be converted to the field hospital with 444 beds. We hope that we will help our city. As for Expo Forum International, our main venue, we rent out our pavilions for TV events. We do some cyber sports event. Since in our Expo Forum group, we have a transport company. We rent out our parking lots for big trucks and for car dealers. We create two important things. First, we organize online events. It allows us to uh, have hybrid events, community events, training events. We launch bloggers school and professional TV studio. Online events is the only tool so far to stay afloat and to communicate with people. We develop new competences for our employees uh, in order to foster this community around every event. We have our own event portfolio of more than 30 different events. We provide all required support to our clients, including image support. We organize quite traditional but online roundtables. We are a group of companies, and the program of business diversification touched upon our partners, including Expo Forum Design. It's our subsidiary. They are working now on furniture design, for instance, industrial design. They do some welding activities. Caramel Catering, our subsidiary, on catering activities, created a new range of food and beverage. They came up with a new package solutions. They manufacture semi-finished goods that could be delivered with delivery uh, companies. If we talk about our company Expert Resource, we operate real estate properties. We maintain engineering systems of buildings. Uh, we have two venues that we are in charge of, Lenexpo and Expo Forum. Briefly, we do everything to survive. Our company, Panbalt Service, is the set of warehouses next to Expo Forum in order to proceed custom clearance. We used to be specialized on event event instruments and tools custom clearance. Now we do all sort of goods. It is very important to preserve the human capital, those who drive event industry. They have a lot of important competences. Uh, they have cross industry approach and knowledge, but the situation in the industry is very, very complicated. I agree with Alexander. We understand that we will not be able to preserve all our employees, but talking about Moscow, for instance, when it is just registered as an unemployed, he or she will receive 20,000 rubles annual. It's not a lot, but it's just at least something. For St. Petersburg, it's very important to come up with a decree of the city government to uh, provide subventions for the industry. Our company, for instance, Expo Forum International, has not been included in too big to fail list of companies. But talking about event industry, we are too big to fail for St. Petersburg event industry. Large companies are suffering just as bad as SMEs. We see some measures to support SMEs, but large companies also require some help. We would like to see tax benefits as well, specifically tax on property. We pay a lot of taxes since we own our real estate, but we will not be able to pay it in full. Now, income tax discontinuation or decrease of rates at least. We need to come up with this recommendation to change the tax code. Therefore, it seems to us that now it is very important to use all support measures to keep event industry afloat. It has a strategic importance. We not only create events, we create also a certain attitude towards the city. We, as a mirror, show the city to everyone else. It shows how people think of our country and our city. Of course, we stay optimistic. We hope that uh, events will come back in autumn. We look carefully at our foreign partners' experiences. We train how to do online events, how to think differently onto event organizing. And just as everyone, we wait coronavirus to be over and we wait to go offline. Thank you, Elena. Very nice position of an industry leader. You look towards the future and you plan specific measures. You do marketing 360 degrees. You immediately changed your approach. I'm not saying goodbye to you. I see you later because you will be speaking the second time today when we will discuss the future of event and congress industry, and you will represent your second professional activity, being executive director of the Russian Union of Exhibitions and Fairs. Okay, talking about specific marketing instruments applied by different market participants. Uh, how we will look like in the future? What we're gonna do against the backdrop of radically different backdrop? We we have an unprecedented case of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. I hope that we will hear well Alexei Valkov, director of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Alexei, can you hear us? Yes, we can hear you well. You had a tremendous challenge to transfer the date of forum. You had to conduct very tough negotiations with all the partners and experts. Your event is of international importance. How did you manage to solve this case, and what do you do in online format? Thank you for bringing me on board. Roscongress was among the first to be touched by that. In February, the decision has been taken to postpone Russian Investment Forum in Sochi. We thought that the decision has been quite proactive because we had to wait 3 more months until St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Europe was not touched as heavily with the pandemic, so we continued to prepare St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, paying great attention to participants' logistics, to create a new ventilation system and hand sanitizing station. We decided to pay greater attention to the efficiency of those instruments. But then March 5, which means 3 months before it's beginning to transfer St. Petersburg International Economic Forum to the year 2021. Very quickly, we informed all our contractors, partners, and participants, and we said right away we will not be doing it in 2020. We'll be doing it in 2021. We had some contracts signed and prepaid, so we signed a complementary agreement to transfer all the funds to 2021. Our partners who didn't agree with that, they still have an opportunity to transfer that to 2021. I would like to highlight that the decision to postpone the forum was based on the facts that are not under the control of the parties. We understand that we will continue working all together in this industry. We were very careful while communicating with every other our partner. The event industry is under unprecedented crisis. Large and small events are being cancelled and transferred to the online format, as Alexander mentioned. Some companies go bankrupt, unfortunately, and will not be able to recover. And at the once the limitations will be over, the landscape will be completely different. Apparently, in autumn, we will have an avalanche of different events. Competition will be very high, and apparently prices will rise. Accommodation, transport, restoration, and other services. After the end of the pandemic situation, relations will be changed. Lawyers will have much more things to do. I don't think that post payments will be as widely used as before crisis. Prepayments will play a more important role. Now, funds are being spent by companies just to maintain themselves on the floor. Mutual confidence will play a huge role after the crisis. This is what we need to preserve right now. This is one of the conditions to ensure the recovery of event industry after the crisis. I'm sure that every organizer is thinking about force majeure item. This item will be included in every contract on earth for sure. But we need also to better think of the relations between all parties to the contract, that's for sure, but also about the relations within the team. I absolutely agree with everything that has been previously said. It is very important to listen to people. And online events show us either speakers communicate without hearing each other, or the audience doesn't really hear speakers. Online will stay with us, it's here to stay, it will see some changes, some innovations, or software products will come. Do you remember pagers? We used to have them. They are not here anymore, so new tools will be coming. But offline events will come and stay because face-to-face interaction creates confidence, and confidence is essential. Events that are coming in the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021, will give an opportunity to participants to feel this environment of confidence and to feel that they are back to normal, back to business as usual. Thank you very much, and I hope we will see each other on St. Petersburg International Economic Forum next year. Uh, don't forget that you can ask questions in our chats on YouTube. And the link is provided on the website of Roscongress and the site of St. Petersburg CB Convention Bureau. We're not only discussing trends, but we think of how to live together in the post-crisis world and how to make money to be successful. We gather recommendations that will be included in the next package of measures to support small and medium enterprises. Until tomorrow, April 24, until 1300 hours, we wait for all your suggestions on the on the mail info@stpetersburgcb.ru. Alexei mentioned an important point. He was talking about environment of confidence and relations between clients and contractors. They are now being tested. With whom we will go further on after the crisis, and with whom we will cease cooperation. I would like to give the floor to Mariska Kestela, founder of World of Mice Company. Can you hear us, Mariska? Unfortunately, my tech team is showing that we are expecting some difficulties. We will try to connect with Madam Castella a little bit later. She was about to speak about B2B influencing and marketing, how to build bridges between event industry players. Friends, from European experience, let's go back to Russia. Do we have Alexei Kalachov online, director of the Association of the National Congress Bureau? I know that you had a session of your bureau. We talked online with you a couple of days ago. Huge amount of content generated online every day. It is very important to provide fresh data to all event industry players. Okay, comprehensive plan to mitigate consequences from coronavirus for Russian regions, for our highly volatile industry. Where we are, what do we do, and what are our hopes for the nearest post-crisis future? Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Good afternoon, Natalia. As usual, during the switch between speakers, we are expecting minor technical difficulties. Thank you very much for your invitation. Recently, almost every day we do online events to inform industry players about the current situation. We have lost the sound. We discuss more or less the same questions. Uh, what should be done and how we can move further. We need to understand support measures from the government because companies want to plan their further activities in order to stay afloat. It is important to preserve their staff. Yes, Mr. Studlev mentioned that some of the employers will be laid off, but when we will quit this crisis regime, we need to have on board competent and qualified colleagues. Now, I would like to not to repeat previous speakers. Some unusual measures sometimes are taken by different regions. I'll be focused more on the future. What is important as we see it? We are an association National Congress Bureau and we have two major tasks. First, to bring together companies and regions and to accumulate tourist potential of the country, of Russia, to come up with a common agenda and to foster Congress and event industry development. And the second task is to attract international events in Russia. In order for us to stay competitive globally, we need to seize the moment. We need to come prepared after the crisis. In 2019, National Congress Bureau, NCB, when creating marketing strategy, worked together with international experts, and they helped us with their ideas. And I would like to share these results with you. We, as a country, as a destination represented by different regions, how can we position ourselves on the international market? We are rookies on the international market of Congress events. Because in other countries, Congress bureaus exist a long time already. And we are rookies on the international market, and we did this breakthrough, and our breakthrough is very goal-oriented. We have now a common voice, and we have now our common message coming from the country. It is important to position several regions, we call it network of the regions, and we need to be very practically oriented, result oriented. Russia is a new and interesting player on the international Congress market, and we did this research at the end of 2019, not under the crisis. This is where we set our strategic goals. It was a very good time to come up to access the market for our development. many clients search for unknown destination, and Russia is still actually an unknown destination for many clients. And we have very good opportunities and infrastructure to organize events. We will use them. It is important to draw your attention on the brand that we started positioning straight from the start. This brand is called Russia Open to the World. This is our primary positioning goal. Using emotional language, we need to make this brand alive. This motto should not be something artificial. We received recommendations from our foreign experts. You can see it on the screen. We are a multinational country with different natural resources. We are a multi-confessional country. Our scientific school is very well known, but this is something international partners tend not to know. Uh, Many events are science oriented. This is why it's important for us to bring this information to international perspectives. We are passing through very difficult times. The situation in the world is unprecedented, and the event industry suffers from it very badly. I don't think I don't say that we need to forget our primary concerns, but alongside with them, we need to use this time period to come up with new ideas to ensure development. We started this activity with our regions, with our members, and I hope that this cooperation will be continued. Talking about competitors, experts mention our nearby countries that compete with us, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Turkey. They are also rookies, but they are more experienced, though. So we can search for new approaches. How can we cooperate with our close competitors? Some sort of associations, collaborations, or other tools can be used to find new approaches and new markets. For us, it is of paramount importance, while creating new strategies and concepts together with the regions, to be, to take lessons learned from the experience of countries that have headquarters of the companies and organizations that can potentially organize events in Russia. After the crisis, we need to be well prepared for the tough fight over the events. Fight in the good sense of this word. We need to take specific actions how to attract events in Russia, and more important, what can we suggest to potential event organizers? When international experts have been prepared part of this strategy, Краснодарский край, Свердловская область, and Irkutsk область have been picked as pilot regions. They are located far away from each other. They have different uh, culture, and they have different opportunities. Based on the studies of these three regions, experts came up with some suggestions. In a nutshell, they gravitate around three main dimensions. I hope that you can see me and hear me. So everything is fine. I received no information, no alert from the organizers, so I think you can see and hear me well. So three dimensions: business market, association business, and intermediate and agents markets. The key goal for business market is to enhance the value for the client's brand, for it to be completely engaged with your with the event. We lost the sound. I'm sorry. The association is the local partner for the event organizer, ensuring safety and security. The partner should be reliable. And we can work with China, Germany, Netherlands, Belarus, UK, and Italy. China can be a good partner for the eastern part of Russia and regions that are close to Asian Pacific region are mostly interesting. For European countries, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and other destinations that have necessary infrastructure first and foremost. Association market works as follows. We can create events focused on collection and creation. It means we can increase financial efficiency of the project. Financial aspect is always a competitive advantage for the region. We can create value propositions for associations. As you know, money is a very important aspect for that. Uh, St. Petersburg, and we had a session about subventions. St. Petersburg is the first region in the country that supports and grants money to develop event industry. I repeat myself, but we need to focus on the countries that have headquarters of international industry associations. They are not very numerous. Belgium, UK, Germany, and so on and so forth. These are potential event organizers. We need to follow up this work. We started doing that already. We cooperate closely with international industry associations. And the third dimension are intermediate companies and agencies. We need to come up with a cost-efficient offer. This job has to be done right now. It cannot be postponed to later. In the current situation, we cannot focus only on anti-crisis measures. It's a utopic situation. I will reiterate myself. After the crisis, if we don't start preparing ourselves now, we will not be able to be competitive while attracting international events in Russia. I would like also to say that as an association, we work with our members, companies. We have more than 100 companies from 20 regions of Russia. And I agree with our colleague from UNWTO. It's one of the uh, key mission of the association in the crisis situation when professional community should unite itself under the auspices of one professional association. This is how they can properly plan their further activity. NBC is one of these associations. We work closely with Russian Union of Exhibitions and Affairs. So we work with all industry professionals. Yes, bad things bring people together. This is something very good. I love this saying. We have different ambitions. Sometimes we compete, and we were not able to communicate that often. But now we speak the same language, we use the same platform, and we plan all together. The essential thing is that we need to preserve our industry. We have our jam session every Thursday. It is of common knowledge that events is the quickest way out of economic crisis. We need to come prepared. We need to stay prepared to be well equipped. And our event industry is different from others because we have many other related industries, hotels, restaurants, and everything. Thank you very much for mentioning a lot of different ideas to smoothly come out of the crisis. Yes, we have this delay in signal transmission. Russia open to the world. I really love this motto from the NCB. And I hope that the world will be open as well towards Russia. We have Mariska Costella. Can you hear us? Founder of World of Mice company. Mariska, can you hear us? Mariska, I have a couple of questions to you. How can we work in B2B? We are experiencing technical difficulties. You see, Andrei, online is the big thing. We came very prepared, but we still cannot connect. Something else. Oh, God. So I give the floor to Yelena Ublieva. I know that you stayed connected. You are not far from St. Petersburg. I think everything will be fine with Yelena. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, I can hear you. Yes, we can hear you, Yelena. Fantastic. Now I ask you is yeah, you can hear me. Unfortunately, I don't receive any feedback from the studio. Natalia, I know that my presentation should be dedicated to the role of professional associations under the current situation. Alexei started talking about that. Yes, now the situation is at such that all associations, NCB, Russian Union of Exhibitions and Fairs and ACMR and National Association of Event Organizers, we all together indeed acted as one. And when the first event was cancelled in Sochi, first losses were suffered by our contractors who construct booths. We understood that we need to consolidate our efforts, and we addressed to the Prime Minister and to the government of Russia asking for support. If I may, I will show my presentation. I received the feedback that sometimes you cannot read it, but I will try nevertheless. Under COVID, what measures of support have been taken for the very first time in association's history? And Russian Union has been operating for more than 24 years. Event activities are seen now as an industry, and we are within this list of the industries that suffered the most. Measures is being created still. We wrote several letters and support measures are supported by the Ministry of Trade and Industry. We communicate with them a lot. We organized a meeting on the platform of Roscongress. Discussion was very fruitful. We started discussing industry issues. We talk about what happened. We are discussing TVA, VAT zero. I will not dwell on the support measures. We faced two things. Our main working code is unfortunately not used by all companies. We communicate now about what should be done. Unfortunately, we face completely new challenges. We need to quickly go back to legislative activities. We discussed with the Chamber of Trade and Commerce of Russia our legislative. We came back to the industry standard development. We need to discuss once again our working codes. We are not alone in this situation. VDNK, other Salon are not working within the working codes that are included by the government to the list of the industries that suffer most. I know that we we fight for including all companies within the association to be included in the support measures list. Alongside with the support measures, we understand that we need to help our members, as it was mentioned by Alexei. We provide them helping hands. Online is everywhere. The content quality is of paramount importance. So we using different days with our colleagues in order not to create too much content. It could be very positive instruments. We have educational progress. We now want to create industry IT platform because we organize different events. Now we understand that we need to come up with our own IT product. Talking about what we do for our members, for our clients, we try to give them the content they need. We hope that we will give them specific tools and specific cases because our colleagues from different national associations have their lessons learned and they share their experiences. China start relaunching events, but they face issues with the number of guests. So we are preparing ourselves that we will face the same challenges as China faces right now. We cannot act alone. When we started talking with the government, we had only 270 companies. It was very difficult for us to protect the interests of the industry with only 270 warriors. If you are not member of our association, please adhere because we will do our best to provide you with useful content. We're losing the sound, I'm sorry. We are glad to have everyone on board and thank you very much for Convention Bureau and all the speakers because indeed this conference is very timely. Thank you, Yelena. The idea that business is not alone is very important. Industry Association, Chamber of Commerce and Trade, National Congress Bureau are working very hard to decrease the level of anxiety of a company. But to do so, we need specific measures. We cannot underestimate the importance of your contribution. And this is the third time we try to do so. What is being done in Europe and abroad to establish partnerships? Mariska, third time I called to you. Are you connected? We don't have any sound, unfortunately. Let's give it another try. Do we have a connection with Guy Bigwood, Director of Association Global Destination Sustainability Index? We have 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We are a bit stuck with that. Guy, do we have you? On the website of the organization, I found a lot of interesting information. And there is this famous motto from him that we need to inspire, engage, enable. I would like to see also recover what would be international networking channels, how the crisis can reshape our activity. And what is about SDGs under the crisis? Sorry, I don't have any sound. In St. Petersburg, we need to maintain this conversation. Do we have Guy connected? We have a very long delay in the signal transmission. I hope we will solve connection issues. Andrei, many good and interesting ideas we heard today. We have very good ideas and we stay very positive. We have this our high mission. Your feedback on what you have heard. Oh, by the way, we have Marishka. We can see her, but we cannot hear her. As a moderator, I give you the floor. I hope we will hear our European colleagues one day talking about the main ideas. Absolutely sure in the current situation we need to hear each other. And after the crisis related to the pandemic situation, I completely agree with one of the speakers. Competition will be very tough. And I would like to put an emphasis on that. We need to change regulatory framework in order to mitigate negative consequences. Because we understand that the current regime is not
Okay,
allowing
everything is
us
running
to do.
perfectly. Okay, makes sense. Sorry for the confusion. Sorry for the
Извините,
technical
пожалуйста, за то,
issues.
что я всех
About
запутала
B2B
и
influencer
что
marketing.
появилось
So,
технической
what is actually
точки
B2B
зрения.
influencer marketing and why is it
Что
nowadays,
такое
especially during the
маркетинг
Corona
B2B
crisis,
инфлюенсер и почему
more
он
than
так
ever
важен сейчас в
important?
момент кризиса коронавируса? Сейчас даже более важен, чем когда-либо.
Influencer marketing is to remain and to stay top of mind at your desired target audience. And nowadays, it's very important to stay top of mind at your desired target audience, despite that the message that you sent prior to the crisis and during the crisis is, of course, different. But the most important thing is to continue the communication, continue to spread the word about your product, about your service, about your destination. Because the worst thing that you can do now is to stop the communication. I explain it a bit like a marriage.
We have this information that is very useful from different sources, and we need to
it's
use
like
these
a marriage
data.
where you have a relationship, and where you have a long-time relationship, you also don't cut off the relationship when you have your first discussion. So it is very important to maintain your relationship in good times and in bad times. And I see a lot of destinations, hotels, in general suppliers, they stopped the communication as soon as the corona came in, because they were not sure what to do, or they were not sure who would be the right person to do the communication. First of all, we're all in the crisis together, but the most important thing is to continue the communication. You just have to change and adapt the message. So therefore, if we think about influencers, often people think that these are the paid people, the beauty influencers, the fashion influencers, the young people. But that's not the case. You can also use, for example, your employees, who perhaps now without a job at home, or without work. I won't say without a job, but without work at home. So it's very important that you identify the people who can send out an appropriate message in the correct way to your desired target audience. So for example, you could use your employees, but you also could use your loyal clients or your partners, or perhaps other people that have been very loyal with your product, service, or destination in the past. So normally, how would you create a successful campaign? Is first you start with the analysis, or you analyze your target audience and who would you like to reach. So today it's all about maintaining your target audience. So choose a person who's already familiar with your product or service, and of course who also is trustworthy to send out a message, because that is the most important. We're all in an insecure situation, and therefore it's important to choose the right person who can send out the message. And we're all on budget cuts, so no one has a huge budget on, I would say, no one has a huge budget to create a campaign, but we can do that with the people who've been loyal to us, also people who are out of job, a speaker, other partners, perhaps a technical supplier for your destination. There are a lot of people who are eager to collaborate, even without a budget, and to say continue the communication and to say, yes, we're still here, we want to continue. Normally we plan for a B2B influencer marketing campaign 2 to 3 months. Now that is not possible because we need to act and react. And the important thing is to continue with the communication, and I think also to adapt every week. What is changing? How is the situation? What is the government saying? How can we adapt the situation to the current, I would say, chaos? So it is a bit different than preparing a campaign normally 2 to 3 months and execute 5 to 6 months. Now it's really continue with the message and adapt it every week with your peers, with the people that you're using
for your campaign to maintain that message, to maintain the trust, and to say, yes, we are loyal to you. We cannot sell anything. You also don't need to sell anything, please. But just continue the messaging, perhaps in a different way. And therefore, I shared a few examples. I will share the slides together with you. There were a few airlines who are, I think, the most hit nowadays. Those are the airlines Corendon, of course, and KLM. What have they done? So Corendon said, we don't have any flights at the moment, and our pilots are out of a job at home. So they showed the inside of a plane, things you would normally never see or never pay attention to, but still continue to engage, first of all, your employees, the pilots, but also engage your audience with information, backside information about your company. How are they doing? What are they doing with the planes at the moment? And also the KLM, it was a person who started singing at one of her last flights because she said, we will not sure when we will see you again. So these are a few examples that you can do. You don't need to think very much, I would say, outside of the box. Think this time inside of the box with your, with the creativity of your staff, with the creativity of employees, your partners, and your suppliers. For example, what is also very important and what will change in the near future is cancellation policies. Event professionals will choose and look different towards destinations. So therefore, also look towards your cancellation policies. It's not an attractive topic, but it's a really crucial topic to discuss and to address. So therefore, the Convention Bureau sent out a tweet saying, okay, we are going to change our cancellation policies. And this is also a huge topic which will play a major role in to choose for your destination or venue or not. So this is also something you could use, inspire your audience and saying, we think of you and we adapt. We think of a new future, how to adapt and how to realize this new future together. Another few examples, this is more from a touristic side, but I thought we could easily implement this also in a B2B side, is from the Faroe Islands. We cannot visit a destination, we cannot fly, we even can't leave our house. But what we can do is use a local guide in the Faroe Islands who show us around. You can book virtual tours. Why don't you book virtual tours in your hotel or in your destination? So there are many, many simple ideas that you can implement, I would say, from a B2B perspective. And also 2 examples from hotels I would like to share with you is from Vienna House Anders Berlin. It was a simple video created by the sales team sitting at home and saying, stay at home like us, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones. And if you have any questions, you can reach us by phone. We're still here to support you. So it's a different message, not about sales, not about marketing, but spreading the message of love, taking care of your loved ones. That's what we do, and that's what you should do. And the last one is an interesting one. As soon as the government in the Netherlands announced that we should keep a distance of 1.5 meters, they directly changed the hotel, brainstorm with the staff and their partners how we can make this happen, how we can organize a conference really where people stay 1.5 meters from each other. And they did it so quickly, they came up with creative ideas that they adapted it and they got a lot of news value. So these are the examples that you can implement in an easy way without, I would say, without using a huge effort. And again, a lot of people think influencer marketing is about sales, is about promotion. No, it's about staying loyal to your clients because people trust influencers, people trust certain people. So it's important to keep your audience and your clients engaged with your product, with your service, and stay true to your values because that's also very important. People in the future will choose destination hotels who are true to the values, who perhaps support it. other groups or other people in these times of crisis. So it's very important to stay loyal to your values and support others wherever you can. What are the key elements for now, for this moment to communicate? We say content is always been key, but also humor. We're all in this crisis together, and it doesn't seem that this situation will change from one until the other day. My personal opinion is perhaps from 2021, things will go slowly back to normal, but for this year it will be challenging. So people want to laugh, people want to distract, people want to hear a different message than only the word corona. And like I said, involve a good cause. Now more than ever, it's easy to involve a good cause and to connect with the younger generation who's entering the workforce, and also, of course, to engage with your employees. And think also about long term. We will be, I would say, in this situation for quite a long time. So if you start communicating, do it consistently, do it properly, even if it's on a bit amateuristic way, but keep continuing your message with your peers and your loved ones. It's important that you send out a quality message and not a message to 10,000 people, but maintain your audience of followers. And also what is very important, what do we need now? What we need now is much different than we needed 2 months ago or what we will need in 2 months, because we don't know what will happen in 2 months. So it's very important to adapt your message to what event planners, how you could inspire your potential audience of buyers to come towards your destination, product or service. I just want to finalize this. We're happy to support you. If you're a destination, hotel or any other, we would love to support you, share our advice, share our experience, what we do on a daily basis to keep the communication going. And if you have any questions related with B2B influencer marketing or related with social media, please let us know. We're happy to support you. And you can find us on all social media channels. So thank you very much for being part of this lovely initiative. I wish you all the best. Good luck. Stay strong, stay healthy, and take care of your loved ones.
Great. Good stuff. Can you see me? Hello, everyone. Just trying to work out how to get this to work. Can you see me? Oh, no, not. Hello, good afternoon. Great. I think I'm online. I hope the connection is good. Hello, my name is Guy Bigwood. Let me know if you can see the screen. I'm presuming you can. So I will make a start. Let me just get this up. See my screen. That should look good. Yeah, fantastic. Hi. So my presentation is called The Big Pivot, and it's about how we pivot, how we shift our recovery towards a more regenerative events industry and a regenerative future. So it's something that goes beyond sustainability to something that's more resilient and will last for a lot longer. Okay, so I work for the Global Destination Sustainability Index. I'm the founder and the managing director. Try and slow down a little bit for the translator. And so we work with destinations all around the world, and our job is to help them become more regenerative, flourishing, and resilient places to visit, meet in, and thrive in. So it's about tourism, it's about events, it's also about the places where we live in. We work with about 58 global destinations around the world, a few more actually, I think, than that. I'm very proud to have St. Petersburg as one of our present things, and you can't see my presentation. All right, okay. Let me try again. Right. Let me try again. Can you see that? Right. Let's try this over here. Yeah, you can see it now. Good, 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 good. Well, then let me take this back over to here. Great. Okay. Great. Okay. Good stuff. So we work with destinations all around the world, and St. Petersburg is one of them. So, how's the ride? How are you all feeling? I know it's been a pretty rough time. I live in Barcelona, in Spain. It's been terrible. We're losing a lot of friends, a lot of people around us, and it's a pretty sad time. And so I don't know about you, but I'm kind of on this roller coaster of emotions, and so, oh man. We're struggling here a little bit with the presentation, aren't we? I'm done at 5. I have the same issues that Marista had. Okay. All right. Okay, try again. So we're on a kind of a roller coaster of emotions, and I don't know how you feel, but some days I kind of feel in total terror with the situation. Other days I feel kind of grief and losing loved ones around us. Other days I feel angry. Other days I feel bored because I've been locked in now for almost 2 months. Other days I'm just kind of filled with optimism because I think we have such a fantastic future. And you know, when we kind of look at what's happening around the world, it's obviously that our industry, the tourism industry, has been hit and affected more than probably much any other industry. The hospitality events world has been slammed. And so we're in a pretty tough this situation. And a lot of you are out there, you know, reacting. You're protecting people, you're ensuring business survival, you're putting in coordination mechanisms. Some of you have may even gone the stretch forward, you know, and we're seeing this great humanitarian response around the world from like convention centers, Excel, SECC in Glasgow, American centers from IFEMA in Madrid. All around the world, we're seeing convention centers being turned into field hospitals. And what's amazing about that is the collaboration between event people, government, military, and the health service. It's a kind of collaboration we don't always see. And it's amazing and really shows something positive for the future. But one thing I often wonder is, you know, people kind of say, oh, well, what a surprise, COVID, it came out of nowhere. You know, we can't say we didn't see it coming. We've been told by experts year after year that it was coming. In the World Economic Forum does a risk report every year. The last 5 years that I remember, infectious diseases has been there. You know, Bill Gates has invested billions in it. He obviously saw it coming. There's a Netflix series about it that launched in December. You know, so we can't say it was there. Likewise, we can't say climate change and biodiversity loss and water crisis and things like that aren't there. And I potentially think that they have a potential of being even more impactful and dangerous. So we kind of got our head in the sand over around a lot of these issues. And basically, a lot of these things come back to a core fact. We're living outside of the nature, outside of the boundaries or the limits of planet and nature. You know, so whether it's biodiversity or the fires in Australia, it's about how we live. And we kind of left all those things on the side. But if we start to look at these interconnectedness maps, we will see that everything is connected. And we've seen that with COVID. You know, someone eating a bat or a pangolin in a market in China crashes the world economy. Right? That's the kind of thing that we have started to see. And we've really underestimated the interconnectedness of life and who we are. Let me give you an example. Looking at the number of deaths in key places, so Madrid, Milan, places like that, the top places where there's deaths have the worst air pollution. So air pollution affects the lungs. So if you get COVID, you're going to die more likely, you know? So everything is connected. Likewise, we saw oil prices this week crash to minus $37 a barrel. Can you believe that? People have been paid to take away oil. So everything is connected. And I call this what we call like the great humbling. We're all being forced to be much more humble about who we are, what we do. We've lost everything. You know, our world's crashed. And so I wonder, right, is this the end of tourism as we know it? Many of you are very positive and talking about bounce back in fantastic ways. It's going to be the same. I don't know if it will be. And this was a report done by some friends, Copenhagen in 2015. And it's really relevant now because, as you know, everything's going to change. We won't have so many flights. Flight costs will be much more expensive. There'll be a spare seat between every seat. Hotels and restaurants are closed. How many will come back? How much capacity will we have? What is the funding and finances? Will you be able to get funding to attract a conference? Will you have funding for the DMO? Will your agency exist? What will clients want? We know that Microsoft has put off all events until June next year. And the other big clients are doing the same. So even when you're ready to jump back, maybe your clients are. Food service. I live in Barcelona, a land of tapas. We won't be sharing food for the foreseeable future. Interaction. We already talked about how we separate people in events. Visas and health controls are going to be a pain to manage. And let me not even start to think about service wearing plastics, so people think the disposable plastics are more cleaner. So the question to me is, where we are now, is this a pause or is it a reset? I kind of think it's going to reset. And I think it has potential to be an interesting reset and not just a terrible reset. But what's sure is we're living in a moment of true uncertainty. And McKinsey, the consultancy, have a really clear method around this. And so, you can look at this in various different ways. But what I think is really cool is that the rules of the world are going to be different and they're going to change. The scenarios for recovery are going to be different. And we really need to kind of think through this. But I think it's time for us to use this moment to rethink. To say extinction ends here, we don't want to die as a planet. To really question why tourism and why events, what are we standing for? Ask ourselves the question is, how does our industry be of service to transforming society? And really then to start to think about how we contribute to sustainable development, the recovery of society, and to really move from degenerative to sustainable and regenerative. I'm just going to wrap up here now. I notice my time's up. So it's really time for us to kind of rethink and replan our future. And this is really what it's about. So let's start to research, reimagine, redesign, reboot, and regenerate our future. Thank you very much.
Guy, thank you very much indeed. It's very symbolic that as the last presentation we have very sincere from the bottom of the heart presentation we had. Save the planet. Let's restore the industry and let's be sustainable in all our business initiative. See you online. See you on streaming of Congress Bureau of St. Petersburg. Thank you very much for being with us.